Today, we're going to look at how you conduct research online, and this presentation is brought to you by Purdue OWL. Now that we have reviewed how to format documents and create citations, we need to review how you conduct research online so that you can find credible websites for future resources. An overview. For effective online research, you need to know available search tools, understand how search tools work, know how to use search tools, and evaluate results found within the tools. For today, the thing that I want you to really focus on when we go through this presentation is how to evaluate results. I feel like you all have a good basis for understanding how to conduct a search, but not so much about how to evaluate the results. Characteristics of research, specifically the internet. Within the internet, you have large volumes of information. It's very convenient. It doesn't contain all the information, and it can be potentially frustrating. Because we have such large volumes of information at our fingertips when we conduct a search online, we have to evaluate resources to find ones that are credible. Everything is at our fingertips. There's a wealth of knowledge, but we have to be able to look at the websites and figure out which ones are credible and which ones are not. So which ones are trustworthy and which ones are not. As we look at the types of resources to choose from, the main two are web sources and print. Each have benefits and drawbacks. For the web, anyone with web access can publish something online. Authors and affiliations and qualifications may be unclear when something is published online. It may not clearly identify external information being resources the author used. The websites may be biased or misleading, and publication info may not be listed. Because again, anyone with web access can publish something online. For print, resources have extensive publication process. They clearly indicate authors and affiliations. It clearly marks outside sources and quotations. Bias exists, but it is reviewed. Only qualified manuscripts accepted for publication, and publication info is clearly listed. Because print is more time-consuming and print resources go through a publication process, they often seem like the safer option. Visible web versus invisible web. There are various aspects to consider when you start to conduct research on the web. The visible web and invisible web are facets of research you must be aware of. So the visible web. Content can be found using freely accessible search engines such as Google. So anything you search within Google is a part of the visible web. The invisible web is content not found by general search engines. So this could be a scholarly database like EBSCOhost or JSTOR. So these are websites that are specifically published within a database, so you can't find them within a Google search. Web search tools, so tools that you use whenever you want to conduct a research online. There are search engines that list results based on entered keywords. There are web directories, often categories for users to choose from, and meta search engines combine results from multiple search engines. Search engine results. It's based on the site's amount of information, the number of linking sites, number of people who choose a link, so the popularity, length of time in search engine database, and the code of the site. The way a search engine filters and presents results can be beneficial, but we still have to closely evaluate resources. Wikipedia is a very popular site and is usually one of the top results. However, it cannot be used as a credible resource because anyone can edit Wikipedia. So you have to evaluate each resource and not pick one just based upon it being a top result. You have to look at the resource and evaluate it before you decide if it's credible or not. Different search engines might return different results in a different order, can include results from paying advertisers. So this is also a red flag. If something comes up as a top result in your search engine, is it because it's actually credible, or has someone from that website paid to make sure it's at the top? So again, as you look at each source, you have to evaluate whether it is credible. And credible, again, meaning trustworthy. Is the information trustworthy? Has the author given me information that I could actually use as evidence? Conducting a search. Whenever you conduct a search, you need to consider keywords that apply, what kinds of information you need, multiple angles, rather search for a topic in various ways, and keep notes. As you're going through and looking for resources, you have to expect that the first one you click on is not going to be the best one, and you are looking for the best resource. So as you're doing a search within the web, you need to keep notes of the websites that you use and which ones are going to be the best for whatever you're searching or what question you're asking. Using search terms. So the way you search for a topic or question can make all the difference. You need to do multiple searches. Don't expect to type something into a search engine toolbar and those results be the best results or the only search that you do. You need to try keyword variations. So if you're looking up something about a dining hall, also expect to do a search using cafeteria and campus food service. Be specific as you learn more. Change dining hall to Midwest University dining hall. So you may start your search with using dining hall, and then as you read different sources, as you evaluate them, you may realize that you need to specify what you're asking a little more in order to receive better resources. And there's things called Boolean operators. So words added to a search to make it more specific. So here's the list of Boolean operators. You have and, or not. And you would capitalize those in your search engine or in the toolbar whenever you do your search. So if you type in and, it finds pages with all of the search terms used. So you could say dining hall, capitalize and, student workers, and the results that you get within that search are going to have both of those terms listed within the resources. You could use or. It finds pages with at least one of the search terms. So if you're looking for something or a resource that has to deal with dining hall, cafeteria, or campus food service, any of those terms could be in the results. And then not. It excludes pages that include the second term. So if you are looking for information about Henry VII, but you specifically do not want Henry VII to be tied to Shakespeare, you would type in Henry VII, not Shakespeare. So it would cancel out any results that include Shakespeare within the information. You can include quotation marks in your search. So it returns pages with exact matches. You could enter dining hall and get, as I was dining, I heard a noise coming from the hall. So in that result, you're not really getting information about a dining hall. You're getting information about someone who is dining. But you could enter dining hall in quotation marks, and every result that you get is going to specifically be about dining hall. So you would get dining hall food quality is assessed in this paper. Evaluating search results. So again, some results won't be helpful. You have to look at all of the results that are given to you and evaluate them. What pops up in your results sometimes could be about the wrong topic. It could not have enough information. It could be incorrect or outdated information. shallow or untrustworthy source. It could have the wrong tone for your project. For example, an opinionated article when you need a basic overview. So as you look at sources, you have to evaluate each one before you use it. You cannot pick a resource at random and expect it to be credible or the right information. So as you're doing your search result, if you see a result that catches your eye, you have to click on it and not just say, okay, I'm going to use this source. You have to click on the source, read through it, skim the article, and make sure before you spend time citing it, reading it, using it, that it is helpful. Evaluating search results. Have a clear idea of the type of content needed. So have a general overview, look for different viewpoints in a debate, and then look for in-depth explorations of a topic with numbers and statistics. So when you go into a search, have this in mind. Think about what you are wanting to know. You want to have a general overview of the information that you're trying to find. You want to have different viewpoints in a debate. You want it to be acknowledging both sides. And then you want numbers and statistics. You want facts that back up what the author is trying to say. Evaluating search results. There is no precise formula to evaluate a search result, but you need to start out with these components. You need to make sure that your resource has a purpose. Is it just trying to tell you about a topic without any depth, without any facts, any statistics? You need to ask yourself these things. What is the purpose of this author giving me this information? Is it helpful? You need to look at who is responsible. So who is the author? Is it a group? Is it an organization? Is it one person? And what are they trying to tell me? When was the resource last updated? This is important. If there is a date in the result or within the website, you need to look for it. You need to see if this information is still relevant or is it outdated. And you need to see whether information is corroborated in other places. So if the resource is used as a resource for other research, its credibility increases. So is another author using what I'm reading as their own backup information or as their own evidence? And also, if the resources uses other sources as evidence, its credibility increases because then it's showing us that they are not only giving us an opinion, but they're giving us information that is backed up in other places. Some clues to determine a site's purpose. The tone and language used. So are they very opinionated? Are they talking about something in a sarcastic way or in a negative way? You need to pay attention to that. What are their assumptions or generalizations? Do they present you with an idea and then leap to a conclusion without giving you any information in between? That would be a red flag. So you need to see what their assumptions are and whether those assumptions are logical. Are they commercial or non-commercial? So is it a .com website? Are they trying to make money off of this information? Are they advocating a particular opinion without giving credit to another side? Are they only trying to show you one perspective? Because then it would be a very biased website. Is there a copyright notice? If there's a copyright notice on that website, then the information that is listed on there has been stolen. And then look to see if there are links or other sources cited, because if the website has other links and sources cited, then you can back up what they say through other websites. So they're giving themselves credit by giving credit to others. Evaluating search results. You can look at domain name extensions. So a domain name extension would be .com, .net, or .org. So anyone can register a .com, a .net, or a .org domain name. This isn't a great way to tell whether a source is credible, but it is a good way to start an assumption of whether or not a source is credible or not. .edu and .gov can only be used by educational institutions and governmental institutions. This still doesn't necessarily mean that they're reliable. However, it is a good place to look because a lot of .edu websites could be websites that are tied to an institution's library, so the information could be more credible. So this isn't something you should base your picking a result from completely, but it is a good way to have an understanding of whether or not a resource could be credible or not, biased or not. Evaluating search results. Visuals. Sometimes we base what we read, whether it's a book or what we view on social media, based upon the appearance. So, good design is not necessarily an indicator of reliable information, and a bad design of a website is not an indicator of unreliable information. But a bad design might be more likely to indicate an outdated website or it's run by an individual who can only produce an appearance to a certain extent. Wikipedia articles. It's often one of the first results listed. Web versus print slides apply. You need to check for your instructor's policies when you are considering whether or not you can use a Wikipedia article. Wikipedia articles can be useful to get an overview over information, so getting a basis for an idea or a basis of understanding about a topic. It can help you generate new ideas based upon the information you receive, and it could point you to other sources. For my class, you cannot use Wikipedia as a scholarly resource. So if you are doing a paper and you're researching a topic, you cannot use Wikipedia as a resource within your essay. However, if you need to form an idea before conducting research, it can be helpful, as well as looking at the links to websites that are cited within a Wikipedia page. Use Wikipedia to get a basis of information for yourself. If you need to start there to get an understanding of the topic and then use that as a way to move forward as you begin other researches or other searches, that is fine. However, it cannot be used as a scholarly source. Again, whenever you look at a Wikipedia article, if it's reliable, there's usually going to be sources and further reading at the bottom. So you could go to Wikipedia to get an idea of other websites and see if those websites are credible to use. So again, here listed are sources that you could look at whenever you are doing a search. So it could be beneficial to look at those and see whether or not those are scholarly. But again, you have to evaluate each source to make sure it's credible or trustworthy. And we are finished with our presentation over evaluating resources.